about a year ago this time, and we came prior to the project getting started. We're here for a 6-month update now. A lot's happened since we were here last time, and we're really excited to let you know how things have been going. So the first half of the presentation will be a recap and initial findings, and I'll go over everything. And then I'll hand it over to Alan for the number crunching and the data analysis. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask us as we are going, and we'll try our best to answer the questions. So the street sweeping pilot program, we've collected 6 months of data so far from March to August. And we wanted to talk about the initial findings and the status so far, and then what the next steps are. Just a recap from the beginning, the objectives of the project are really to move vehicles off the street, and that allows the street sweeper access to the curb and to the street, reduce litter impacts to waterways, and neighborhood beautification. So you can see in these pictures that the cars are parked there. We went out the month before the project began, so in February, to see the baseline data and to see how the cars are parked and the neighborhood is before the pilot project was implemented. And so this was a photo that we had taken during that month. You can see here there's debris in the second and third pictures that then goes to the storm drains and out into the waterways and into our bay. And then the last photo is a photo of a street, no parking street cleaning sign that we installed in one of the pilot areas. So the purpose of this 6-month update is really to provide a summary and analysis of the first 6 months. Again, we did go out in February, the month before the project began, to collect the baseline data and to see the neighborhood prior to the project beginning, and then going out for 6 months and collecting data. Basically, every time the street sweeper was out there in the pilot areas, our team was out there as well. So we were out there taking, collecting photos, taking data of all of the cars that were still on the street, the litter that we saw, and we had tablets. So we would GIS map, or I should say geotag it every point so that we could see how things are going. Feedback from the residents. We also wanted to give an update on how, what we've been hearing from the residents in the different areas. We've been hearing a lot of positive comments about the program from all 4 areas. Seeing the streets become cleaner has really been a good experience. And just a quick note on the photo that I have here. This was from one of the days in the summer. I believe it was July or August. It was a really hot day, and we were out in the field collecting data, and the street sweeper was coming by. And I snapped this photo because I noticed that a resident had heard the street sweeper come by, and he ran out of his house with water bottles, and he gave the bottles to the street sweeper, which I thought was so awesome that the residents were really appreciating the service that was being done and just the act of kindness. I thought that was super cool, and that I was there to take the photo too. And then the other feedback that we've been hearing is the desire to begin citations, which we've been hearing from residents actually. Up until this point, we've been giving notification warnings, meaning that the police department, the community service officers that are out there on street sweeping days have warning notices that are put on each vehicle that's blocking the street so that the street sweeper can't have access to the curb. And the warnings say, you know, you're not going to get cited or given a ticket this time, but be warned that you will. And the fine is on there. The $65 citation fee is also on there too. So the warnings have been on there for the past 6+ months. And one of the things that we've been hearing from residents is I've received emails, phone calls, and out in the street when I'm out there, people saying, well, I've been moving my car every time, but my neighbor hasn't. So when are you going to start citing them? And, you know, why should I keep moving my car if they're not? So I thought that was interesting to hear that feedback also from the residents. And the next steps along with that is to begin parking violation citations. So to begin the actual citations November 1st, after outreaching to residents in all 4 of the pilot areas to give them a heads up that we do plan to start citations. So the timeline of the project, it's a year-long pilot starting in March through February of this next year. We're past the 6-month mark at this point. For the first 3 months, December through February, is when we did research looking into different cities, different jurisdictions that implement street sweeping for residential areas, signage, how they're doing it, the different lessons that they've learned. We formed an internal project team consisting of our streets team and public works, the police department, of course, with the community service officers, code enforcement. We talked to finance. We talked to engineering, to Steve actually, about the signage itself. Yes, so we put together a team to discuss. We also coordinated, we're in close coordination with MSI prior to the project beginning to talk about the schedule of the street sweeping, and then ongoing also on a monthly basis. Just as a reminder, the current street sweeping schedule is that for residential areas, it's twice a month, and that the street sweeper will go through each street on either side of the street. And the difference with this pilot project is that so let's say Yosemite, we would take Yosemite, who's in the pilot project, and we would split the streets, meaning we would put no parking, street cleaning signs on both sides of the street. One side would be the first Friday, the other side would be the third Friday. And instead of doing a full day of street cleaning, as in the regular schedule, we narrowed it down to a 2-hour time frame. And that was one of the feedback comments that we received, actually, I believe from this committee, to try to lower the window so that it's only a 2-hour time frame that residents are affected. And the idea is that the residents during those 2 hours can just move their car to the other side of the street, so that the street sweeper would have access to the side that is the no parking side for those 2 hours. And then the implementation, we work closely with a consultant to, and our streets team to put signage up, no parking signage for those 2 hours. And we outreach to the different pilot areas in different languages through door hangers and postcards that were mailed out. We also came to different commissions in this committee prior to implementing. And we're at the 6-month, we're past the 6-month mark now, and we're back with an evaluation and analysis, presentations. And again, we're also in regular meetings with MSI and in regular contact with different team members as things come up. And then at the 12-month mark, once we are completed, once the pilot is completed, we plan to do final evaluations for the metrics and the budget, post-pilot presentations, begin the parking violation citations. Again, that's November, and then a survey to the residents to gauge how well it's going on the residential side and from the residents' perspective. For the pilot neighborhood areas, just as a reminder, we have 4 pilot areas. And the reason, well, the different factors that we considered in determining the areas is our impact from Milpitas sanitation for the difficult areas to street sweep. Milpitas has a long-term trash reduction plan as well. So we looked at the hot spots there for trash. We also looked at the different makeups of the neighborhoods, meaning multifamilies, single families, how dense the neighborhoods are, and then the geographic locations of the neighborhoods. So in area 1 here, you can see it's south of Calaveras, South Park, Victoria, Edsel, Shirley, Silwan, and Dempsey. Area 2 is east of Cardozo Park, Adams, Braley, Carl, Dennis, Ellis, Gadsden, and Lynn. So it's that kind of block of the neighborhood. Area 3 is a section of the street of North Park, Victoria. That's between Kennedy and Ayer. And then area 4 is Yosemite between South Park, Victoria and Piedmont. I have some before and after photos. This photo is from the Silwan area of area 1, Silwan Street of area 1, or sorry, Silwan Drive of area 1. You can see the blue building in the background there. So this photo on the left was taken soon after the pilot project was implemented. And as you can see, the cars started moving pretty soon after, and we were very excited to see that. So the good thing is that the cars were moved, but then you see all the litter and debris that accumulated underneath. So you can see there on the picture on the left and the middle picture, the litter and debris. And then on the right, you'll see a picture of the street after the street sweeper has gone through, and how much cleaner it looks now that the sweeper has access to that street. And the picture on the bottom here is Dempsey Road. And you can see there, so this is the before, and then with the cars already moved, and this is the after the street sweeper has gone through. It's not perfect, but you can see that it's cleaner once the street sweeper has access to that area. Some field observations that we were able to notice while we're out there, common items that are blocking the street sweeper access. So the most obvious item are parked cars. You can see here a lot of leaves and debris that's accumulated. And you can see here the lines, though you can see the watermarks from the street sweeper who had to go around that car and wasn't able to get that because of the parked car there. And the same thing here. There's less debris there because the street sweeper was able to run past it, go through it. But you can see there that he had to go around a car that is up there. You can kind of see the tires in the top there. The next thing is one thing we weren't actually expecting, or I didn't even realize was a thing, was driveway ramps. There are a handful of areas that have, a handful of homes, I should say, that have ramps leading to their driveway that are in the street. So you can see there that it's blocking when the street sweeper goes through, he can't fully access that curb or street either because of these either makeshift or ramps that were placed there. Boats and trailers are also things that we've noticed that are parked down the street and blocking the street sweeper access. Unused parked vehicles, so people would just park their car out on the street and leave it there. And then illegal dumping. So one of the things that we try to do is whenever I'm out in the field and I see illegal dumping, I'll pull up my Milpitas app and I'll report it so that it's logged and reported and handled. So we notice that in certain areas more than others. But whenever we see that, we'll try to also report it to have that handled. So at this point, I will turn over the presentation to Alan.
All right, wonderful. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Loud and clear over here. Great job, Mivan and Alan. Yes, please.
Okay, wonderful.
Alan?
Thank you, Mivan.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you zoom in a little bit so that the visuals are a little bit bigger on the screen?
Oh, we can actually click on the slides
Okay.
so that they enlarge. And I was actually going to instruct Mivan to do so.
All right, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. First and foremost, thank you, Mivan. Now let's talk metrics. Because anecdotal evidence, while it's useful and insightful, may not show the whole picture unless we actually pair it with data. So for the next set of slides, we will cover some initial analyses that we've been performing with the data that we have collected, which includes the curb length that got swept over time, the vehicle parking changes over time, a percentage of the street that is being swept, as well as the tonnage of material that is collected. And from this, we can see if the data that we have collected actually matches what was presented so far. Or go ahead and head over to the next slide, Nita. Wonderful. So this first slide is the curb length swept. Before going into the data itself, just want to point out that we included the streets within each area at the bottom of the slide for your reference. So you see, for example, the blue line, and it's 1 indicating area 1, and the major streets there are Dempsey in South Park, Victoria. The y-axis is the distance in feet that is swept, and the x-axis is the month of the program, and with February being the baseline month. So in general, you can see that over time, I remember there has been an increase in the amount of curb length that is swept in each area, which is great news, because that's exactly what we're hoping to accomplish with the pilot. And we just weren't expecting how quickly the general trend and was going to move up. But how exactly do the other metrics look, and does it show the same thing? And to answer this, we looked at the number of vehicles parked over time. Mivan, go ahead and head over to the next slide. I'll be the first one to admit that there's a lot going on in this slide, but I'll try and explain it as simply as possible. This slide shows how vehicle parking has changed over time, and it includes both vehicles that have received a warning and those that did not. So how you read this is that on the y-axis, it is the number of vehicles that were recorded to be parked, and on the x-axis, as it shows the pilot area indicated by the number and the day of the street sweeping that is occurring. So for example, on the leftmost one, and that you see a 1, that's area 1, and at the very end you see second Monday. So it is area 1, second Monday sweeping. And the reason, and we're breaking it down like this, is because each side of the street is being swept on a different day. So as you're looking over it in general, you see that the number of vehicles that is parked on the street during street sweeping has been decreasing over time. And so this matches everything that we've seen so far. And while we expected this, we did not expect how rapidly the numbers actually drop within the first few months, and especially in the medium to high density neighborhoods, which is primarily area 1 and a little bit into area 2. And on some parts of the street, or on some sides of the street, the drop was over 50%. But with that said, you can also see that while there is a general downward trend, the numbers are starting to decrease by fewer amounts, and it's effectively beginning to plateau, which brings us to the next phase of the pilot program that we're going to be implementing. But before we get to that, how is the vehicle parking impacting our ability to clean the streets? And that's what the next set of slides are going to show. Mivan, go ahead and head over to the next slide. So these next couple of slides I'm going to be going over relatively quickly. And excuse me, let me just get a drink of water. And what it shows is the results of having less vehicles obstructing the sweeper and the changes over time. So there are 2 lines on each slide, each indicating a different day, blue being usually being the first street sweeping day, and gold being the second street sweeping day. This slide is area 1, which is our medium to high density neighborhood area. And we went from having access to half or less than half of the street to being able to clean more than 80% of the street by the end of August, which is great. Go ahead and head on to the next slide, Mita. This is area 2, and area 2 is composed of primarily single-family homes, with some medium to high density units along Lynn and Adams. Likewise, as you look at the left at our baseline, we're starting at being only able to clean about the mid 60% percentile of the street, and to being able to clean more than 80% of the street by the end of August. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide in area 3. At the area 3, it is composed of single-family units and is located close to a commercial area off of a main thoroughfare. I'm referring specifically to North Park, Victoria, off of Calaveras. This area is a little bit more chaotic in terms of street parking behavior, but you can see that by the end of August, we're able to clean more than 90% of the street. And let's go ahead and move on to the next slide, Mivan, to area 4. Which is Yosemite, and Yosemite is primarily single-family units. It's with a school in the middle of the neighborhood, and this tells a similar story to Area 3, which is as now we are able to have access and clean more than 90% of the street. So 4 areas, varying degrees of participation, but overall, it still shows a general trend of less blockage, higher amounts of the curb length that is being swept since the pilot program has started. And if the remaining vehicles could be moved, then we'll have access to clean the entirety of the curbs in each of the pilot areas. But where we're at right now is actually pretty good. And let's go ahead and move on to the next slide, Mivan. And talk about tonnage. So tonnage is information that we receive from MSI at the end of every month, it's effectively weight tickets for how much material was swept off the street from the street sweeping pilot areas. And this data is interesting because we originally thought that if we had more access to the curb on a more regular basis, and we're able to keep an area cleaner, aside from an initial high amount, that there should be a decrease in the amount of tonnage swept up over time because there's less time for debris and litter to accumulate and just stay along the curb. Right now, that actually doesn't seem to be the case. It's showing actually a relative upward trend, one of the reasons for this is, and one of the things that we believe to be true is that it shows that debris generation is actually more consistent than we thought, and is less in accumulation over time. But there are other factors as well. And one of the reasons why this is a 12-month pilot is because we fully expected the seasonality changes to have an impact. We started in winter when there was very little vegetation that is growing, and through spring and then the summer, there has been a lot of material growing. So in addition to the litter that is being swept up, there's also plant debris that is growing and also ending up on the streets. If this is the case, we fully expect the tonnage numbers to continue to increase through autumn until we get back to winter, where it will drop off again. But regardless, this is actually really fascinating information. And this, Mivan, and go ahead and move on to the next slide, brings us to the next steps and intent. And what are we going to be doing next? First and foremost, we will be conducting additional outreach this month because we will be starting the next phase of the program. So our plan is to send out postcards to the pilot neighborhood areas to inform them of the next phase, that is the upcoming citation phase. We'll also have the postcards with us as we're out in the field, so that if we're engaging with any residents, we have the opportunity to provide them the information then and there. We'll also be updating our pilot website with all the appropriate information for easy access. We've actually already started verbal communication with residents that we engage with as we're out in the field collecting data. The residents within the pilot at the neighborhoods are starting to become aware that the next phase is going to be starting up soon. And then on November 1st, we will be starting our parking violation citation phase, and we will still continue to be out in the field to collect and monitor data and to see what the impacts are from this next phase of the program. And when we finally reach the end of the pilot, we plan to release a survey to residents in the pilot neighborhoods to get their feedback and perception about the effectiveness of the program, as well as other thoughts and potential insights from their point of view. But other than that, that brings us to the end of this update. So if anyone has any questions or concerns, feel free to ask us or reach out to us via email.
Thank you so much, Mivan and Alan, as well as Elaine, for being here with the update. I really enjoyed both Mivan and Alan's portions and the differing perspectives on the pilot program. I want to go to the Vice Mayor Carmen Montano. This is a pilot program that she's championed, and it couldn't be possible without our city staff's work. And we see the really street view work that you've all done, and we thank you for that, serving our residents. Vice Mayor, are you there, or did you want to? Hello.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, I am so happy with this program. I'm telling you, when Julie Edmund Myers Mares went ahead and when I asked her about this program, and she really pushed it forward, and I'm happy about that. And what was so amazing that the residents, they themselves are the ones that they want to see this. Even just last week when I was out in one of the neighborhoods, because one of the neighbors came out and said, when are you going to have these cars move out? There's so much trash accumulating underneath there. And I said, well, right now we're going through a pilot program. So yeah, that gentleman was so happy that we're doing this. And that really makes me happy that the residents are happy about this. This is wonderful. This is great news. So I had a question for Alan. Alan, you know, the data that you gave us, not the bar graph, what's it called? The line graph.
Mm-hmm.
So you have an area there of the types of trash, because I know that we are mandated by the state to reduce trash, and I was just wondering, do you have a line graph that has the types of trash? Because I think that having that data will let us know, what we can do in the future. But I'm just wondering if we had that.
So in order to answer the question, do we have a graph for the types of trash that we litter that we've been seeing?
Yeah, is it more? Yeah.
The answer right now is no, but do we have the data to be able to put this together? Or the answer to that is yes. So we are collecting that information on the back end, and then but without getting into the weeds, as it were, for this particular presentation, and that we didn't include that information, but we do have the ability to analyze that level of data.
Yeah, I think that might benefit us in the future, especially because I know the state has a mandate that all the cities have to do some type of trash reduction. And then we have those contraptions I guess right there at the pump stations that collect some of that trash. So the other question I had was, how often do they do the street sweeping? Is it once a month, twice a week, once a week? What? I'm not sure. Just curious.
So, Vice Mayor, in most of the city, in the residential areas, it's twice a month. In these pilot areas, because we're moving the cars from one side of the street to the other, that street sweeping is happening once a month. So, for example, on Yosemite, one side is being swept, I don't know, the first Monday of the week.
Friday.
The first Friday of the week. And then the other side of Yosemite is being swept on the third Friday of the week.
Okay, great. That's good to know. But I think we'll get 100% once we start implementing the fines, because, once nobody wants to pay, so I don't blame them. So I think it'll be great. This is such the staff. I'm so happy with you guys. You guys are doing a wonderful job. This is going to be great for our city. Thank you.
Fantastic. I can't say much more than that. The Vice Mayor said it all. So thank you so much once again, Mivan, Elaine, and Alan for the update.
Great. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Have a great weekend.
Yep. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You too. Thank you.
And we'll go back to Steve Chan here. We're doing good on time, folks. Not just an efficient meeting, but certainly quality updates here. We'll just jump back to the agenda for our viewers' pleasure and move on here. All righty, if I may, go on number 6, other topics. Vice Mayor, you got anything?
Well, I thought on this agenda was going to be the on-demand for the financials. I didn't see it on there. Is that going to come up for the next agenda, or?
The on-demand shuttle van.
Yeah, right.
The outside grant. Yeah, I was checking with Steve Chan. Do you have any thoughts there on that program, Steve? Or
yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Oops.
It should be on the agenda, but we'll need to get it
We'll
on
put it
there.
Yeah, we'll put it next time in.
Mayor and Vice Mayor, if I may, I believe we brought that to the Transportation Subcommittee in April. It's April 16th.
Yeah, but I had requested to see it again because I wanted to check some other, and I told Steve that I wanted to see it again.
Okay.
Well, we will relay that to planning.
Yeah. Well, Vice Mayor, let me ask you, maybe would you like to have a meeting with our engineering department, and that way you can have a sort of a one-on-one meeting, since we've already brought it to the subcommittee, unless you're looking for changes or something.
Well, I just want to make sure that everything was, no, I'd rather have it public because, you know,
Oh, okay.
a lot of people don't know about the on-demand program.
Yeah, well, we've already discussed it, but I'll be happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great.
And then the other thing, I have another item. So, you know, as you know, I serve on this VTA, and one of the items that I was asking, because they believe in equity, they have these equity programs. So we have a sound wall on 680 that is if you're on 680 on the west side, the sound wall is only 5 feet, and then once you hit a certain neighborhood, it goes up to 10 feet. I think that's an equity issue because these folks hear the traffic, and then they get the dust and all the pollution from the, and so I'm not sure what we can do as a city, as a subcommittee, to make sure that we, I've already brought that up to BTA, so they're going to look into it. But just to let you know, that's what that's in the pipeline, and the ask is to make the sound wall higher. It's in the Sunny Hills area.
City staff will follow up on that request also with VTA staff on this item.
Okay, and then the other item again is the widening of 237 Calaveras Bridge. I'm not sure when. I know we brought this up before, but if you can educate me on what is the logistics of it, because from my understanding, I thought the city has to apply for a grant for that. So, and from the VTA, but if you can just kind of let me know what are the logistics of that, so we can, and I know that it's already been, part of it has been funded for a consultant, but well, you know, what is the timeline, I guess is what I'm asking, maybe going through that. And we could have this meeting, it doesn't have to be public, it could be a you and I meeting on this subject.
Councilmember Montano, just a little update. Measure B Highway Program Call for Project application was due this last Tuesday, and the city did submit the Calaveras Boulevard widening project for the Measure B funding. We are moving forward with the environmental clearance phase of the project with the transportation impact fee collected so far. So we're moving that phase of the project forward with local funds that will be considered local match for the Measure B funding that we will eventually receive. So it's essentially getting us more ready for construction when the Measure B funding becomes available. So that's the quick update on that project.
Okay, and so if we do get the grant, we put it in a pot and we put it on the side for when we do accumulate the funding, and then when it's ready, right? Something like that.
It depends on how much funding we receive. We may still need to phase the program for final construction. So we do the environmental phase with local dollars. The next phase is the design and the right-of-way acquisition before final construction at the end of the project.
Yeah, I know that takes years and years. And then lastly, the greening of the bike lanes. I was wondering, when will that be happening? Is it going to be a citywide? Is it going to be a certain portions of the city?
Yeah, I think I remember you asking this question, Vice Mayor, and I think the plan is to, as we resurface streets, then put in the green paint so that we don't duplicate some painting efforts. But I think a follow-up question to the Vice Mayor is, what areas are we looking for the next resurfacing? I think Piedmont Road just got resurfaced. So where are we looking for the green paint next here? maybe
could
Steve
add-
Chan, yeah.
At the current construction that's happening right now on Landis Avenue, we have completed the resurfacing, and part of that resurfacing project includes a green bike lane on the bike lane merge area. So that is being implemented from 680 to Evans or Piedmont Road on Landis.
Oh, great. Okay. I know we have to piecemeal it, but I'm glad that there's some work being done on that. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we love this transportation subcommittee. It's such a really fun time working with Steve Chan, Steve Erickson, and other folks from engineering. You know, we're just delighted by the work y'all do. Really, I always tell folks we probably hear from engineering the least. They're up there on the 4th floor, and you know, but I think they do a lot. They certainly don't do the least. That's for sure.
That's right.
That's for sure. But yeah, this is great. Okay, great. So I want to go to the agenda here.
Yeah.
Okay, next meeting Friday, December 10th. That looks good.
That looks good for me too.
That looks good. And once again, I want everybody to know that the Vice Mayor and I really appreciate everybody's public service to our city of Milpitas residents. And we're part of a special team right now. And have a great weekend to you all. Okay.
Yeah, you
Meeting's
too.
adjourned.
Everyone. Thank you. Have a nice weekend.